so we're going to go ahead and introduce Kyle Shutic. Come on up. All right, what can we say about a dude who has heart for veterans and heart for other people and is an Aggie? We just say welcome and tell us what you got, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys know me, I'm not at a loss for words and I can talk forever. So it's a gift and a curse. As I told Adam, he asked me how much time I need, and I said forever. So I'm going to link about 15 minutes, hopefully. That's why I got the presentation. I'm usually really good off the cuff. This is supposed to help me keep me on time and inform you. So our organization is called Project Zero. Project Zero was founded 2 years ago. And it was founded under the notion that we need to think about doing things differently in the veteran and include the first responder community in mental health and well-being. As you know, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, a lot happened in the world. So while we like to say we're 2 years old, we've only really been operating for 1 year. But we founded it with a mission, and the mission's taken shape over time, and a vision. So the mission is really straightforward: improving the mental, physical, and social well-being of veterans and first responders. We do that through the Power Adventure. We do that through the professional mental health services, such as counseling and therapy, with licensed clinicians, and the connection to other resources. So if we don't have it, or we can't provide it, we know other nonprofits and other organizations that can, and help them through the system in order to address those things. And when we say mental, physical, and social well-being, that includes their mental health, that includes their wellness. And the vision for that has been to change the culture around mental health that ends stigma, so hence the Project Zero, ends stigma, ends suicide, and the barriers to mental health services for our military, our veterans, and our first responders. And the reason we included first responders was simply because we know in the community, a lot of our veterans will go into the first responder community, and what will happen is that the services for them aren't the same as what you see in the veteran community. I am fortunate enough to have a lot of friends and family who have joined fire departments, police departments, and they tell us the things that they're experiencing. And that's not from the veteran community. That's my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, my sister-in-law, another brother-in-law. They all work for first responder agencies, and they tell me, hey Kyle, these are the things that we're seeing, and these are the things that we're experiencing, and it's really hard for us to get help. I wish we had the system in which you guys do, and if you guys know the system in which we use, sometimes it's not up to par. I'm not dogging that system because it exists in the way that it does, and there's a lot of people who get care. There's also a lot of people who are left behind. So here's some of our leadership, and our leadership is actually right now changing hands. So we do have some new board members that are coming on. We're looking for additional board members, and we're also looking for an advisory council to help us shape the outreach and engagement in the veteran and first responder community. So there's me. I don't really have to tell you a lot about myself. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran, so if there's any Marines. Yeah, so on November 10th was the 246th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. We celebrated that, and then right into Veterans Day yesterday. If you are a veteran here in the room, thank you so much for your service and sacrifice. Next up is, so I'm really fortunate to get to speak today after those two. That's the start of my holiday season. Then we have Jennifer Lawrence. Not the actress, but better. She's a licensed clinical social worker. She splits her time between here and Boston. So she works with the veteran and first responder community up in Boston. She came on with us about a year ago to help us shape another business tower, and you'll see that here in a minute. On top of that, she's a dean of student life at both Tufts and MIT. So she works with students who are in very high stress academic fields, because there's a lot that's demanded on them. She is a woman of many hats. I'm so blessed to bring her on the team. I'm so blessed to bring her on the board. And what she does with our community is nothing short of amazing. And I get kind of choked up because I really, really, really am grateful every day that she's come on to help us. Next is Ben Kennedy. Ben Kennedy I met through another organization. As most of the people that have come onto the board, we've all kind of floated around the military community and the veteran community. He's a United States Marine Corps veteran out of Lubbock. He does outreach and engagement for us pretty much everywhere. Ben is like what they call the guy who can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. Do you ever watch Tommy Boy? All right. But when he reaches out to a veteran and he talks to a veteran or a first responder, he helps them figure out what they need when they need it, and who to connect to if it's not us. So we talk about mental, physical, and social well-being. We're addressing the mental here, and this is professional services. And professional service is cost-free, confidential counseling with licensed professionals right now in the state of Texas. That's where our counselors can cover. I told you that we have a lot of insight into the first responder community. We're blessed to have a lot of people that we know have transitioned into that, or we have friends and family members who work in that community. what you see is that 85% of first responders have experienced symptoms of mental health related issues. That could be depression, suicide ideation, PTSD. It's a huge one, right? That's a thing we all know. Anxiety, so on and so forth. Of those 85%, what you see, only 1 in 5 of those will go seek treatment, and usually that's mandated, right? So they'll have an incident on scene, and they have to go get cleared by somebody in order to return to duty. Now, we work primarily in the greater Houston area right now, and some of the organizations that we're close to are Harris County Precinct 4, God, I live down in Precinct 4, and the Houston Police Department. What they tell me is that, hey, we have an EAP, which is an Employee Assistance Program, that only allows 4 to 6 sessions for them to take a year. That's on the organization or that's on their insurance, and then they have to roll off into insurance, which tells us that the co-pays can be really high. It could be anywhere up to $150 a session, depending what insurance they're on. And as you know, if you have to go, if you've ever been to mental health treatment, you don't have to raise your hand. I will. Sometimes it takes a while to get through those things. Well, can you imagine paying $150 every week becomes a barrier, right? So our goal is to remove that barrier completely. So what we see are our obstacles, right? A backlog in approval and scheduling for clinical services. So guys who are going through the VA, we just had a veteran not too long ago reach out to our community and say, hey, I need emergency mental health services. She reached out to the VA. They said, your next appointment is in 3 months. Yeah, she was in a very bad spot. She reached out to us, we couldn't provide the service, we referred her to somebody else. She got the help that she needed, and she's still with us today. It wasn't suicidal, but you never know. But we'd love to be able to see that and be able to connect people to those resources. Another one is limited covered services and high copays. We already went over that. So maybe they can't seek the amount of treatment that they need. Maybe they can only get the 4 sessions. Maybe the sessions cost them $150. It becomes a barrier, it's an obstacle. It prevents them from seeking the care that they need. And then constantly working against the stigma of seeking help. If you know in the military community, you know in the first responder community, it's really hard for somebody with that kind of personality who serves other people on their worst day to actually tell somebody, I need help on my worst day. And this one's kind of getting close. So recently in my family, one of the first responders that serves in our extended family had a breakdown. He went off the reservation, essentially, and we couldn't find him for a couple days. Come to find out, he's 12 hours away. The only thing that he took with him was his badge and his weapon, right? We didn't know anything until one of his former supervisors, who was retired, had called his wife. We were all at a family gathering and said, hey, I have, I'm not gonna insert his name here, with me, and these are the things that he's saying. He went and got help because he could, the agency that he works for, but we're trying to connect him to further care because it's only gonna cost him so much more. So we can't do that service because we're so close to that, but we can provide a service or an outreach for a service.
Are you finished?
Yeah, that one gets really close. This is like 3 weeks ago, so it's pretty fresh. So we're trying to connect them to that and work against the stigma. And he says, hey, I'm ashamed of what happened, I'm ashamed of these things. You shouldn't be. He's been doing the job for 15 years, right? Over time, that builds up. Over time, without a release, without a way to outlet, without a way to talk to somebody, the goal for us is to remove every single obstacle possible. You can go ahead and click it. So the solution is really simple, right? We believe in simple solutions to what people feel are complex problems. That's cost-free confidential counseling with a licensed clinician. This isn't peer support services. There's organizations that offer that. These are people who are trained to work with the traumas and the experiences that these men and women face, right? And we utilize evidence-based therapies. One of the ones for first responders, because they're classified as EMDR. If you're familiar with EMDR, they can process something without actually having to release the information verbally, right? So, because a lot of them are classified workers, meaning that what they've experienced is still either being investigated or it's essentially classified information. So this helps them process that without actually having to break any confidentiality for them. What it means for us is to provide a stigma-free environment. It means we don't judge because we've been there ourselves, and render services with a limited wait time. You reach out to us within 48 hours. I get you with one of the 2 clinicians that's volunteered with us, and within 48 hours they get to reach back out to them, and again remove all the barriers to seeking care. So that's no money changing hands. There's nothing. We don't work on a sliding scale. The idea for us and what we want to build is cost-free. That means you can call us anytime, and because of that, it's completely confidential, right? So we have no paper trail whatsoever. I don't even know the names of the people who come and see us. I only know their gender, I know their role, and where they're from. That's it. So, again, the end goal is to be an objective third party for first responder agencies, for the military, and for our veteran community. So that way, when they're navigating the benefit services, they can actually get the care that they need before they get it. So the VA backlog, right? Guys who are waiting 6, 7, 8 months. Why don't you go see somebody right now until you actually get approved for the services that you need? Now this is the fun part. This is as emotional. The other part is really near and dear. I've had to seek treatment. A lot of friends that I have had to seek treatment, and we're actively working with people in that. But this is what we call adventurous therapy. And what adventure is, it's a type of experiential therapy that uses the challenging adventure activities to facilitate change as a supplement, not a replacement, right, to professional help. So I use a slideshow because I have to keep myself on time, and I'm not going to read a whole paragraph to you. Here's the idea. We know that community is really important. We know that among our veteran community, it's really important because that gets people moving. They get to experience something with somebody else. They get to see that maybe they're just like me and they're doing things that are good for them. And with adventure, we're meant to live life as an adventure. And that's the way we see it. We're meant to go do challenging things. We're meant to go take on a responsibility of something else. And that helps us move forward in life. Now the way that we do that, and if you've talked to me or you've seen anything on our Facebook page or Instagram or wherever else we put it, we love to do overlanding, right? An overlanding is when you take a bunch of camping gear, you put it in the back of the truck, you go to a national park or somewhere, and you just start hitting the trails. The idea is that we can share an experience with somebody else. We can weave in new memories with them, while also they're relating that back to old memories. So a lot of the guys who had served overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, they actually feel like they're on a convoy again. There's nobody shooting at them, nobody trying to blow them up, but they just get to relate like they did when they were in the vehicle, it could be 5, 10, 15 years ago. All of a sudden, that shared experience from that time is now being weaved in with what they just experienced on a trail. On top of that, they actually get to start building new skills, something that they can share with themselves, their friends, and their family. So you get to see people like Casey, Alan, Jess, Justin. You get to see people like this actually go home and start to share the adventure that they had with other people. So Casey, I actually know Casey, and a lot of this starts close to home. These are people that we know that are struggling. I actually know Casey. Casey's gone back. He was a Marine and now works for DHS. And he has taken his veterans that he works in DHS, and they go on a fishing trip every month now, right? So he takes them, they share a campfire, they share some stories, and it's really healing for them. The thing is, it's a simple solution to what appears to be a complex problem. Alan's an Army veteran. Alan has since, we don't advocate for this, he has since gone out and bought, as you can see in the picture, he went out and bought a Jeep, he takes his family out, he takes his wife out, they're out probably every other week, just enjoying what nature has to offer. These two are my favorite, and I've known them for quite a long time. Jess and Justin, I met them in another organization, I won't name it here, but I know their struggle, and I know their story, and if you have time, you should really hear it. Jess has faced things like alcoholism, trauma, and everything else. And to watch her overcome those things just by simply being around a group like us, being able to share that around the fire, and then being able to work confidently into her strengths and her skills. This is a picture of her, that's the Telluride. So we went through this really hard pass. Jess navigated every vehicle. It was, I think, like 5 or 6 up this path. I mean, it was really challenging. And we get to the top, we get this overlook in Telluride, and she just felt like she conquered the world. You can't put a price on that. And it's hard for everybody else to understand, because they'll say you're just fishing and you're just jeeping. No, we're providing an experience, and we're providing something to move people forward. So we believe through therapy we can address the past, but this we can address the present and the future. And Justin's one of my favorite. He's become a really good friend, and I know he's needed help. And as we do this organization, and we get this organization running, it's great to see how far he's come. So we go to Colorado every year. Every time I tell Justin, you can come out with us. This is the last trip. This is the same pass as you see Jess, but it was a nice little photo op. Justin was shot through the throat, right? He has a nice scar across here. And we can joke about it now, but when I first got to know him, he's really sensitive about everything that he experienced. It was hard for him to go out in public. He drank, and he'll share this story with you, and he's given me permission to do so. He was a recluse. His basement was his second home, inside of his home. We invite him to go out. He says no. I show up into his driveway. I say, get in the Jeep, let's go. And we go on an adventure. And he sits with us and he shares his story, tells us his struggles, what he needs. if I could put the picture on here, but I couldn't find it. 3 weeks after this trip, Justin rented an RV, took his wife, took his kids. They went out to, I don't remember what lake, because there's a bunch of them in Colorado. They were trout fishing, and he shows me a picture of him and his daughter holding like the biggest trout I've ever seen in my life. And he says, "Hey, thank you." And I said, "No, thank you. This is what we do it, and what we want to do is to see you do those things so you can share those memories again." So no longer is he just sitting around idly on the weekend. He's engaging with his family. He's got a new skill and something he can share. And this is kind of a summary of what it is. Adventure opens you up to the world again, to improve self-confidence, to challenge irrational thoughts and beliefs, right? To build confidence and create a sense of fellowship. And the idea for that isn't that we have the community internally in Project Zero, right? We don't want people to come in, we want them to leave and go create fellowship with other people and community with other people. It's about the greater community because we can all help each other really well. So we don't need different treatments, we just need to do treatment differently. And this is a different way of doing treatment. So some of the other resources we're starting to offer, we do mental health first aid, we do it for free. We're starting to partner with some other organizations. Our lead clinician, Jennifer, she actually runs that, she'll run it virtually. We're starting to offer assist and safe talk. The problem is it has to be done in person, so we're trying to find other ways to do that. What you see is Be a Character Institute. We're working with another university, I won't mention it because we're kind of rivals with this. It's not rival, it's one of the breakoffs, right? Hey, it just came up, but actually offering, right, self-directed courses in which somebody can come in and they don't have to sit there for 12 weeks with somebody else. They can take it as they need it. It's based on characters, it's based on positive psychology, it's based on a lot of the things that help move these men and women forward. And we're lucky that that came to us. We think and we know in our experiences, a lot of these men and women know exactly what they need. The problem is them going out and doing it. So if you can offer it to them in a very non-in-your-face environment, or if you can say, "Hey, this is a free resource, we don't even know if you take it, you can take it online, you can take it at your own pace," they'll take us up on that. And other organizations that we've worked with have already proved that works. So we're just gonna go ahead and extend that. And really, it's extending that in the first responder community. We know our vets are well taken care of, we still cover it and love our vets, but we wanna reach out to the community that we know is not getting a lot of care. Because of the way that we work, we don't have a lot of volunteer opportunities. We don't do Meals on Wheels, we don't do gifts for kids, even though we're doing a toy drive. We're going to volunteer that back to the other organization that's doing a toy drive for foster kids. But what we do is we take our funding so we can actually pay for the services that we render to these individuals. So is anybody familiar with Giving Tuesday? No? Oh my God. Okay. If you're not familiar with Giving Tuesday is really easy. It's one of the biggest single donation days of the year. It's 24 hours of giving. And we don't even ask you to give funds to us if you can't. What we ask is that you share that with somebody else. You tell a veteran thank you. You buy a first responder a meal, right? You just acknowledge somebody who you know who might be struggling, that you're there and you support them. Giving Tuesday is just about giving. It's giving your heart, giving your funds, giving your time. It doesn't matter, we just want people to promote that. So for us, we are doing a campaign for Giving Tuesday on November 30th. We actually have an email list that goes out to remind people every week. We always have to market those. But we're looking to raise $5,000 on Giving Tuesday. And then we have our ongoing support, and that's just, as you see through our code down here. The services that we render to individuals, they're free to them, but it's not free to us. So we got to continually ensure that we can fill the coffers to have the people who give the professional support, the support that they need to continue to do their job. Again, the path to success is to ensure we remain free from bureaucracy, and we do that through private funding from the community and companies that are supposed to. The idea is, and what we ended on this notion, is we stand together with our heroes wherever they are. So that doesn't matter where they served, doesn't matter when they served, or how they served, is that we're there to support them with what they need when they need it. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And yeah.
Kyle, it's a pleasure that you're with us. We love seeing you here every single week. What's that? Tears? Oh, Lisa, okay. Do you want me to cry? Okay, because I can do it on demand if you want, because I'm a very sensitive fellow. So man, we really appreciate you. We appreciate your heart. We want to be able to support you where we can. I was reminded that I believe we said it was $1,000 is what Rebel is going to donate for you, so you continue on. No, it's our pleasure. Don't cry, dude. It's okay. Money's good. It's fine. Okay. So, but if you do feel like you need to support, and look, it's been brought to my attention, we are supporting a lot of different companies, a lot of different charities and organizations out there, both with our money and our time, and I really appreciate your efforts on this. I'm going to make one more plea here in just a minute on another organization that we want to fulfill for tomorrow. And I realize this is a lot of hours we've been asking of you, and you guys are fantastic with that. We are going to be more mindful of that in the future, just FYI if that's a concern, but we're going to make sure that we're supporting our community, and that's what this group was about, right? Was supporting our community and the folks that are trying to help others. Now, real quick, you said that there's a school that we cannot mention. I'm going to tell you this, if it's to help other people, we'll allow it to be said. Where can they go get it?
So we're going to work with building programming through UT Dallas.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I couldn't.
No, I did the same thing when I met him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, the lead didn't have anything to do with that. He just happened to get a chair there. So that's where he got me for.
All right, fantastic. Kyle, thank you so much. We'll get you taken care of. We'll make sure you get you donated.